All right. I've heard enough. So I know I'm kind of coming in a little hot. So today's episode is going to be about the stuff that's going on with 6ix9ine. The stuff that you saw in the news the last couple of days. The stuff you heard on the Joe Budden podcast. So first of all, for those of you that don't know, 6ix9ine came out. He did a no holds barred interview, and then he states why he snitched. He did that on the Shade Room, which he tried to get on Joe Budden's podcast. According to Joe Budden, he tried to get on his podcast. According to Joe, he wanted to be credited. He didn't want to tell a story. He wanted to tell that story. He pretty much wanted to co-sign. And I mean, I didn't watch the first part of that Shade Room interview with Angelica Nwandu. I watched 3 minutes of the Why I Snitched, and I said, what am I doing? What am I doing? Like, round and round we go, right? I did an episode of the podcast last time where it said he stays winning. Because it was like, yo, he came out, I don't know, he snitched, he got out of jail, he's making music, everybody was like, forgive and forget. Which I knew was going to be like that for whatever reason. The way how hot he was coming in with the whole trolling shit, it just went to add to it. So he snitched, he's going to troll somehow, and he's going to do it. Now, come to find out, I guess his music's not doing too hot. So even though he's getting those views and those clicks on his social media and whatnot, he's not getting the response that he was used to getting from the fan base. Because at the end of the day, people want to, I guess, see that entertainment. You're like an animal in the circus. You're like a fucking circus animal. People will go just to see you, dance around and eat your own shit. But nobody cares about you other than that. And I guess his music's not doing good, even those numbers are. So album's going to drop. He did a quick, let me just verify that really quickly. But he did he wanted to do a quick interview so that way he can pretty much promote the album that was going to be coming out. Yeah, Tattle. That's what he named it. Wow, that's actually the first time I've seen the name of it. I cannot believe he named it Tattle. That's insane. Now, I saw like a Locked Up Part 2 with Akon. I saw that on a social media thing a while back. So that sounded pretty hot. It's crazy to me that he wanted to make that video with him, by the way, that song. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that. Tattle. I can't believe he fucking named it that. So he wanted to do a quick grab in order to be able to promote his new album. So he was gonna promote the whole snitching, why I snitched. Like give a full-blown explanation, I guess. And I was gonna watch it. I sat there and I watched 3 minutes of it and I said, yo, like, I don't care. I might end up watching it just to have more and better opinions. But this is gonna be the like a all feelings, no facts kind of thing. I don't know what he said. I know what Joe said. At 6ix9ine's boy, Murph, I guess, tried to get on with him. And they were trying to sell it to him hard. Biggest interview of your life. And Joe's like, you're probably right, but I have integrity. And people like that, they're not going to fuck with 6ix9ine. They're not going to. Especially when they know what he's doing. And especially trying to create controversy or trying to create attention for yourself when an album drop is not anything new. We talked about that even a couple times on the episode of 6ix9ine. Kanye West does that. He's been doing that. One of the biggest names in hip hop. So you're just taking a page out of his book. And he's not the first person to do that, let's be real, but just one person that comes to mind. Now you're trying to sit there and you're trying to grab those, and not even fans, but grab that crowd and bring them towards your album sales. And it didn't work. Because everybody, I think it was, again, it's like a monkey dancing. It's cute. Everyone wants to see it. But after you see it once, you're like, okay, I'm good. Maybe 2 times, 3 times max. I'm good. So I'm not speaking on facts here. I couldn't tell you what he said in that interview. I looked at it and I said, an hour long of him explaining why he snitched. Come on, bro. Come on. But I'll tell you what, in the first 3 minutes, Angelica asked him what a snitch is. And you want to know what his answer was? He said, in my opinion, a snitch is somebody who will do anything pretty much to get out of trouble. I can't quote him verbatim, but he said pretty much anything to save yourself or your family or whatever. So he says, if you got to do this, and that, whoop-de-woo to save yourself, save your family, whatever, you do that. And that's a snitch. I'm like, wow. And then he follows that up by saying, if his boys or the Trey Bloods would have rode with him instead of backstabbed him, he would have done the time. Because he said, I'm one of the most loyal people out there. And I was like, whoa. For real? I don't know. The last episode I did about 6ix9ine was he stay winning. That was way before the album dropped. No, I shouldn't say way before, but let's be honest. He had his little antics, everything, and it didn't work. Oh, by the way, Joe Budden was like, yo, tell him Murph, yo, send that to Ack. That's his deal. That's his lane. And he's already done the Ack thing. He's already messed with academics. He's trying to get on an accredited platform, and it makes sense. Joe Budden, being as influential, being media as he is within hip-hop, when you think of hip-hop podcasts, you think of Joe Budden right off the bat. Whether you like it or not, you think of it. So to be able to go on a platform like that, a New York dude like that, have Maul there, Roar, you know what I'm saying? Like none of them wanted to do it. They tried to push it, and he ended up on the gosh, what was it? I don't even remember now. The Shade Room. And he's looking goofy too. Like he has this thing in a bun and his whole root system is pink. It's weird because the rest of his color, so I don't know what it looks like down, but just the way he had it looked weird. You can tell dude's out of prison, dude's gaining a little bit of weight. Not body shaming. Snitch shaming for sure. I don't know. Shade Room, like I said, if you guys want to go check out the full interview, it's about an hour and 45 minutes, both parts. I was going to waste time on that. Like I said, I probably eventually will. Just to take the facts from it, give my opinions on it. But right now, I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my gosh. And in the wake of everything, I'm just going to take a moment really quickly because this actually bothered me. Football's back. It's no secret football's back. Tomorrow, because this is recorded on Saturday, tomorrow is actually the first Sunday of football. We had already the first game with the Chiefs and Texans, and how they had some Chiefs kneel, some stood, or most of the Chiefs kneel, while the Texans stayed in the locker room. But then after the national anthem was played, they came down and they interlocked arms in the middle of the field. They stretched down the hash marks. And the minimal fans that they allowed at the stadium booed. And I couldn't believe it. I get that there's people out there who are tired of the politics invading sports, because I've had discussions with people about it. And that's pretty much what I get is like, yo, my sports is my getaway. I don't need to have politics within sports. I can see that. But I strongly believe that there is more important things than sports. And that's where the politics come in, especially in an election year. It's not going to go away, especially in an election year. But I think it's people like that don't understand. Yeah, sports is sports, but like, because I enjoy sports. And yeah, it's my getaway too. If this is the platform that these individuals have to make their stance, to show their support, to inflict or impact change, why shouldn't they be allowed to use that platform? Right? And then me and my lady were talking about it. I guess the MLS isn't doing the national anthem, or they were discussing not doing the national anthem. I'm not sure which one. At first, I'm like, okay, I can see the positive in that, because if they don't do the national anthem, then there's no segregation as far as who kneels and who stands, and if there's any kind of drama within the team, because some people stand, some people kneel. But then immediately after I said that, I said, hold on, wait a minute. Let me reel that back in. Because if I'm looking at it for face value, now I'm looking at it like this. Wait a minute. You're telling me that I finally got, pretty much everyone finally got on board to allow us, and remember us as the players of any league, us to protest peacefully during the national anthem. And because now that that's approved, you guys want to remove the national anthem? You can't give us that one? You can't give us anything? It's not like we're out here not playing, or we're out here on strike or whatever. We're giving you your sports, but you're telling me that I can't protest if it's my God-given right and I can't do it. And that's when I was like, that is wrong. Take the national anthem, then what? And people will find other ways to protest. And then it's going to be calling at the beginning all over again. Controversy with, why are they doing this and why are they doing that? It's disrespectful. Because people are always going to find something to bitch about. They're always going to find something to bitch about. So it's like, why? Damn, man. I'm like, if it were me, I'd be like, why can't I have this? Like, seriously, really? I can't even have this? You want to take this from me? There was another thing that came out, and this is useless facts that would have never came out unless what is going on is going on. Is they're like, well, actually, the United States is the only country that does the national anthem before every game. So they've been doing that. That's tradition. Keep doing it. Don't remove it now. Now that players can protest, don't remove it now. That's when it hit me. And I was like, man, they don't want to even give them that. They're going to figure out ways to shut it down because politics are huge in it now. Yeah, politics were brought into sports and we would have, no one wants to see that. Not even the players, but this is where we are. Right? You take that from the players. What kind of message are you sending? It's the same thing when you couldn't get behind Colin. Because all you saw was the visual act of what he was doing and you were ignoring the message. And now I feel like the message is getting lost within that side because people take advantage of peaceful protests and they turn it into mayhem. It's ridiculous. Oh, I can't even watch basketball because they have it on the jerseys. Wow, that bothers you that much? Really? So the XFL, back in the day, could write "he hate me" and names like that, and you're cool with that. But God forbid you put equality in the back. Equal rights for all. I don't know. That just doesn't sound right to me. Really? Doesn't sound right to you? Why? Well, I don't. It just doesn't sound right. It's pathetic. Excuse me. Oh man, that tea's coming in handy because my throat is hurting. Or not hurting, but it feels dry. But yeah, I can't believe it. And I just can't believe it. And for those of you that are too dumb to understand what I was doing, I was obviously flip-flopping between two different people, right? I'm not saying it's stupid to have that. I'm saying there's people out there that think it's stupid to have equality and say their names and peace and things like that, justice for all on the back of jerseys. People aren't watching certain things because of how it's getting. It's crazy that is the concern. That's the concern. I know that LeBron James, because this was brought to my attention, LeBron James came out and said he fears for his son and this and that. That one's a little tough for me because I think we all know Bronny. Like, we all know what he looks like. We all know we can identify him pretty much. I don't think he's going to be affected by it. So I thought that was a little insensitive to say that. Right? I know you're trying to personalize it and you're trying to, kind of relate to the populace, but let's be real. You're on another level. Your son, because of you, is on another level. So it's not the same, but I appreciate the gesture. I see what you're trying to do. But a lot of people hooked and grabbed onto that and were like, are you kidding me? You're really going to say it? The point was that it can happen to anybody. And realistically, it can happen to any black person. Now, I know there's been videos that come out that are like, oh, well, I'm not a fucking criminal, so I don't have to worry about it. There's a difference. And this is another thing I had a discussion with my lady. If you want to, we're going to talk stereotypes, okay? If I grew up in the projects, and I can relate to this, and only because of the neighborhood that I grew up in, it was a certain, pretty much not a dress code, but it was, you dressed appropriate to the neighborhood. Okay? So I feel like I'm a good person. And I could have easily have been looked at or by officials, police differently just based on the way I dressed. I'm going to preface it with that. Now, you grew up in the projects. I grew up in the projects, right? Yeah, I know gangbanging and this and that. The majority of people, I shouldn't say majority of people. It's very easy to go into that and then other people go away from it. You're around it, yeah, right? But at the same time, if people are wearing a certain colors, certain outfit, certain shoes, they have a look to them. It's the look of the neighborhood. You're part of that neighborhood. Shit goes down in your neighborhood, you guys all stand together. You feel proud of that. It's my neighborhood. They got my back. You're not a gangbanger. You're not any of that, right? But at the same time, you want to be a part of the culture. You want to be a part of the community. Very easy way to do that. I wouldn't say dress appropriate, but dress appropriate, right? You dress to what you see, to your environment. They're wearing black shirts and Dickies. That's what you're wearing. You sag a little bit, you sag a little bit. Now, get a visual. Now that you have that, you're a black person. You're a black teenager. You're on the street walking late. You're hooded. You're walking home. Here comes a neighborhood watch guy, thinking you stole something. He's aggressive towards you. You don't take shit from nobody. You've been taught that. Or you're so scared you just want to act tough so they can leave you alone, right? And then he escalates it and kills you. Sound familiar? Rest in peace, Trayvon Martin. Now, I'm not saying that he was dressed like a gangster or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you can take a look at somebody. He was wearing a hoodie. He's wearing a hoodie. He's a black teenager in a neighborhood that's predominantly white, I guess. And this guy was like, not here. Right? That's my point. Is it equal? Is it equality? You hear things that because you're African American, police are taught to automatically assume that it's going to escalate. Why? Because some black people can be more animated than others? It has nothing to do with anything. Now you're just judging. And you're stereotyping. It's ridiculous. I was watching Flagrant 2, and they were talking on there like, when you talk to like white people and you tell them like privilege, or you bring up the word privilege, it automatically changes the discussion and it almost shuts them off. At least this is the way I took it. This wasn't verbatim. And it almost shuts them off to the conversation or what you're going to say or the point you're going to make because they heard privilege. And in their head, like, I didn't grow up, I'm not privileged. Like, I struggle here, whoop-de-whoop. Fuck you. But if you go to them and you stray away from that and you just talk about basic human rights. And you're like, man, black people aren't even afforded basic human rights. You're like, oh shit, that sucks. And it's true. You're like, you look at it from a different perspective. Because then you look at it like, oh, wow, okay, I see that. Damn, that really does suck. Really? You can't walk down just a neighborhood? And if it's cold outside, if you wear a sweater, you're targeted? Wow. If you don't take instruction by police the first time because maybe you didn't hear it or you didn't understand the command, you're telling me that they full on draw their weapons or go aggressive with you? I've never seen that happen. Wake up. This is going on. Basic human rights are not being afforded to Black people. Other minorities too, but let's be honest. This is what am I trying to say? The majority of it is happening to Black people in the Black community. And it sucks. And it's happening, like I said, in an election year. In a year where the country's most divided. Do I believe you can be Republican and still understand or still see things from a Democrat's perspective? Absolutely. Just like I think vice versa. But we get too caught up on, are you Democrat? Are you Republican? Especially with the census going out, because you have to, in order to vote, for those of you that don't vote, you have to choose a party in order to be eligible to vote. You could choose Democrat and vote with something else, that's fine. But you have to list something, pretty much what party you side with or you agree with or you identify as. You have to do that in order to vote. Things change, right? I remember when Obama was running, I saw plenty of signs that said I'm Republican voting Democrat. Because I was like, yeah, right? But people get too caught up in that. There's views on the Republican end that I agree with. And then there's views on the Democratic side that I'm like, absolutely. Especially in today's day and age, it's very easy to jump towards Democrat because Democrats believe in just do what makes you happy. And when did that stop? When did that stop being okay? We're free, right? Do what makes you happy. It's a beautiful message. But instead it's like, oh, well, yeah, but, A, B, C, and D. It's like, well, what? What do you mean? Like, and then people go, well, that's the Republicans talking. We're over here. Just do what you want. And so you're like, okay, yeah, I'm over here because, I do what I want. It sounds stupid, but it's that simple. It really is. I don't think we need to get caught up in the parties. We really need to look at, especially the candidates, we need to look at the candidates for what they represent, what they stand for, and what they are going to, or at least what their views on change are and what they believe they can do. Because we cannot sit idle for another 4 years. Whether President Trump gets elected again or Biden becomes president, we need to be able to agree. Government needs to come together and agree so we can progress, move forward, instead of just be idling. That's a hard one. It doesn't matter where you side. This racial profiling is not going to stop until reform happens. I still believe it's with the training and the way they evaluate. I could be totally wrong. It's just an opinion, right? You're allowed to have one of those still. You don't have to agree with what everyone says. Not all police is racist. That's just facts. But are they programmed to think a certain way with certain people? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not in law enforcement. Are you? Do we see that? Absolutely we see that. Is that going to change? I don't know. I don't know what will and what won't change. Actually, I do kind of assume what won't change, and that's racial profiling, which is so crazy to say in 2020, there's still racism, and it exists more so now than it has in a very long time because the country's so divided. Hopefully this does spark change. Well, we'll have to really see what happens because we don't know what's going to happen. Now that was bothering me more than anything. Going back to the original thing is that they booed them for interlocking hands. But I like what JJ Watt said. JJ Watt said, he pretty much was like, yo, you're entitled to your own opinion. That's if you want to boo, okay. Just like you're entitled, we're entitled to ours. And I'm like, very easy to get mad when you're like, but instead you're like, no. All right, cool. You booed, whatever. No bias there. I couldn't believe it. I really, my jaw dropped when I heard that. I looked at my lady. I said, yo, are they? And she looked at me at the same time. I was like, are they booing? I'm Like, I'm pretty sure they're booing. And at first I thought, okay, well, they were supposed to pump noise in, but there's actually fans there, so they're probably not pumping the noise in. But imagine if they were pumping boos in. Yo, that would be a whole different story. Here the NFL's saying they're behind it, behind the movement, and then they just pump in boo. And then, they would say, oh, it was an accident, but really it's probably like a way for them to, would be, I'm always speaking hypotheticals here, obviously, but what if it was a way for them to show their stockholders, you know what? You know what's up. You guys know what the fuck's really up. I don't know. It's crazy. Crazy times we're living in, man. I had done another podcast about it, but I didn't like it. I did it twice actually, because the first time there was something in the audio where it just sounded so terrible and I could not salvage it. And then I redid it and I just didn't feel like the same passion was behind it because I had already done it. And I feel like it wasn't organic because I was pretty much I don't have a script, right? So I was trying to mimic what I was saying and it just wasn't coming across the way I wanted it to. So that podcast is going to be set aside for whenever I have a guest on, because it'd be better suited for that anyway. Yeah, I appreciate you guys supporting the podcast. You guys have always done a good job of that. Numbers are growing. Downloads are growing. Thank you guys. I couldn't be more thankful. And let me know, like, do you guys want to hear like just pointless ramble? I didn't think that I had to ask that, but I was watching some other podcasts just because. So what I do is I like to look at setups. I like to look at people's setups. I don't care what they're talking about. They could be educational, informal. They could be just bullshit. They could be whatever. A lot of times I don't even pay attention to what it is. I just see the thumbnail. I'm like, their setup looks pretty dope. I want to check it out. I want to see what their lighting looks like. I want to see what kind of camera they're using. Because eventually I'm going to move into YouTube. I've been working on it and I'm almost to the point where I'm ready for it. There's a lot of things I have to get on with. I don't want to spend $1,000 on a camera. I mean, I do, but I really got to get over that and just use what I got. Because I know my audio sounds good. At the end of the day, it's going to be about the audio, and then you guys can get the animations of the faces. It'd be a better experience. But the reason why I ask is because a lot of these podcasts just ramble about nothing. And I'm like, yo, people actually watch this? Like, for real? What? Like Theo Vaughn, whenever he works with like other people, does a pretty good job, right? Theo Vaughn with Brian Callen and Brandon Schaub is hilarious. Brandon with just being this thing with Brandon Schaub is hilarious. But I guess he just moved to Tennessee. He had a Tennessee studio. He got some guy from the internet, I guess. This guy, I don't know what his purpose was. I didn't watch the whole podcast, but he was rambling. He was talking about nothing. He was talking about ghosts at one point. He's like, yeah, man, I feel like ghosts are lost. No one respects ghosts anymore. And then he ranted about that for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, yo, people are actually watching this. And no disrespect to him because he's a funny guy. But I do believe that they have to, for the sponsors, make these episodes. And so some episodes are just not well thought and just kind of get on and just talk about whatever and hope to see what comes to them. A lot of people believe that they're so creative, especially comedians, because they improvise a lot, that they can just do that. And a lot of them can. But I think at some point, it has to come down to where you just start running out of things to say. And that's what I felt like with Theo, man. I felt like he was like, didn't know what the fuck what he was saying, or what he was going to say next even. Because a lot of points were never made. It was a lot of open and just points, I guess, and he just never closed on them. Now, it's easier to do it when you're with somebody else because you can always bullshit about something or reminisce about something and then laugh about it and then kind of segue into something different. But when you're just by yourself, if you don't close on a point, you sound like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And to me, it was like I just wasted 5 minutes. listening to whatever the hell that was. And yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that that was a thing. That was one of them. I saw other ones, obviously, but I just figured you guys would know that one out of most of these ones. And I'm like, man, it's stupid. Now, Chris D'Elia would do one solo, but he's so animated that he could, he said, what the fuck? And he's always doing his weird stuff. And so it's like, it's hilarious, right? And some people just don't got it. He can talk to himself. Chris D'Elia can talk to himself, though. Man, Theo Von with that smooth, cool voice, just kind of sounds like Matthew McConaughey a little bit. And when you ramble about nothing, you seem like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And it just wasted my time, and I was so bored with it. And then I started thinking, is this what people want? Do people actually want to listen to someone just ramble about nothing just because they enjoy their personality, or enjoy seeing them on? That's easy. But I don't want to do that. I guess I could, but I don't know. It sounds, this whole thing is improvised. So goes to show you, like, I can improvise if I need to, but I don't know. Odd. Very odd to me. But I send the question out to you guys. Is that something you guys want to see? You guys will get a very, very organic conversation from me if I literally come on and don't know what I'm going to talk about. But you guys already get organic from me anyway, because I usually just pick a subject. I might write a paragraph script just to get the episode to kick off, and then everything else from there, boom. Or I might just do bullet points and then boom. But it's an organic podcast, for those of you that want to know. And obviously, whenever it comes to factual stuff, I get my facts straight. I think it's only fair. You guys are coming here for some information. I'm going to give you the right one. Maybe I'm just different. I don't know. But this was supposed to be about Tekashi and his thing, and then it kind of segued into the NFL stuff. So, yeah, that's how I feel. Football's back tomorrow. I'm excited for that. Really excited for football. I hope that you guys can. I hope you guys can stomach all this freedom of speech that's going to be happening before the games start. Ridiculous. Culture Punch Podcast. Thank you guys.